Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome into GarageBand Weekly, the show all about you, but more specifically, all about GarageBand. My name's Pete Johnson. For the next hour or so, we're going to be hanging out here talking about GarageBand, Logic Pro, Apple, mobile creation, home recording, life, the universe, and everything. And I invite your questions. If you've got questions, I've got, well, I don't like to say answers, but we'll definitely try to answer your questions as we go through. So if you do have a question, a big Q would be a good idea to put in the chat. Just Q colon and your question. If you've got comments, if you've got other things you want to rant about or talk about, feel free to do that. We've got some news and notes, and then I've got a few question topics that have come in through the week that are the most common things I'm getting asked right now when it comes to Apple and GarageBand and music and all that sort of stuff. So I hope you are doing well. I know for some people in some parts of the world, stuff kind of sucks. So just let me know that whilst we don't dive into the world of geopolitics on this show, I feel for people. And if there are people that are doing bad things and you are the victim of those, I feel bad for you. So let me just put that out there on Front Street. And some of it does relate to tech because there is some things that will be very tech related. If you're buying some sorts of technology in some parts of the world right now, it's going to get more expensive and it's going to get more difficult. So, yeah, there is a tech angle and an Apple and GarageBand angle on all of that. Let's start with the news and notes, shall we? And then we'll dive into more detail. Apple Intelligence Update. Well, there was a little bit of drama in the world of Apple Intelligence related stuff this week, and you might have read some of the articles and some of the Apple pundits and Apple fan people being very sad. They're not angry, they're just disappointed because it turns out that, as we thought, as pretty much predicted, the marketing side of Apple Intelligence, where every single ad for the last year has talked about now with Apple Intelligence, has far outpaced the actual Apple Intelligence features themselves. So, as if you've worked in any, look, this is not Apple specific. So, if you think, we're going to pick on Apple here, every company I've ever worked with, every company I've ever dealt with has got sales and marketing, they've got operations, and then they've got the actual boffins who do the stuff. They've got the engineers and the technology people. And it's almost always without fail a case that the marketing people and the salespeople get all excited and get all up and, oh, wow, this is all so great. And they start pumping and promoting and making promises. And then the operations people are like, wait a minute, we don't even have this feature yet. What's going on? And then they go to the engineers and they're like, yeah, no, that's 2 years away. That's not a feature that we're going to be able to use right now. So this is a pretty commonplace. And unfortunately, it's the old overpromise, underdeliver. Dare I say self-driving cars? Dare I say the Tesla Roadster? Not that I'm picking on Elon, but sure is fun to pick on Elon. But yeah, so yeah, Marquez Brownlee paying $250,000 for a car in 2017 that still hasn't seen the light of day. That's just funny. But yeah, look, it can be challenging when people are like, hey, this is a thing. And I don't know if I'm just super hyper sarcastic, cynical, once bitten, twice shy, whatever you want to call it. But I see what marketing and sales say, and then I ramp that down to about 20% of what it actually is, because that seems to be where you end up. If you listen to all of the hype and all the marketing, all the sales pitch, everything sounds amazing, doesn't it? So, you know what? I think this is a bit of a non-story, except for the fact that in the past, Apple have been they've kept their cards close to their chest. They've been very careful about not going out there and promoting features that aren't ready yet. They've actually been the opposite. They've been the laggard, if anything, rather than the trendsetter. They've been the trend follower. And it's not a bad thing because they come out and they do it really well. Afterwards, they let other people try tablet PCs and then they make the iPad and crush it. They let other people mess about with capacitive touch screens that don't work and then they bring out the iPhone and they crush it. So, yeah, we're seeing some chinks in the armor, shall we say? But again, I don't think it's an actual significant problem. Just between you and me. Hello to the folks who are here live. Thomas Christ is here. He's linking slings or slinging links, whichever way you want to look at it. So, yes, feel free to support me on the Patreon to donate, to become a channel member. And don't forget that I do indeed have this, my GarageBand iOS FAQ. If you are keen to learn GarageBand and you want to get all of my tips and tricks and hints and all the rest of it, jump on over here, studiolivetoday.com/GarageBand. And what I recommend you start with is this one. Look, it says new in 2024. I need to update that because we've been in 2025 for nearly 3 months now. So you can jump in there. That is my 5-minute tip series, and that's where I recommend you start because you can learn in little chunklets. And we've got, how many chunklets have we got in there now? 69. Nice. We've got lots of chunklets there ready for you to learn, all in under 5 minutes a pop. So go and check that one out. Hello to other folks who are here. G'day to Joel Crouch. Hello to Mark Bro. Eric B's here. G'day to you. Al Davis Music is a regular here on GarageBand Weekly. Good to see you. Paws and guitars. Sylvie Drapeau. I hope your keyboard won't obey me. Yeah, I have those days too. Oh man, am I a little bit tired at the moment? I am. It's been a long weekend, and this is for those that don't know. My week kind of goes from Thursday to Tuesday. I'm a bit weird like that. So on Thursdays is when I start my week. I record the podcast and I set up my weekend's worth of shows, and then I work Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. And this is my Tuesday morning. So this is where we're about to finish. And to say it was a big weekend with all the happy hours and a 3-hour Your Music Live would be an understatement. So yeah. Over-promising and under-delivering. It's the worst. It's the worst. Like when you get, like I'll equate everything to food. When you order Uber Eats, which I don't recommend you do, it's actually bad for the restaurant, bad for the people. But let's just say that you're lazy like me and sometimes you order Uber Eats. If it says estimated delivery time 45 minutes and it arrives in 30 minutes, I'm stoked. If it says estimated arrival time 20 minutes and it takes 30 minutes, I'm pissed. So all you need to do is under-promise and over-deliver. The problem is people in sales and marketing that want number go up don't want to do that because they want to do whatever it takes to make number go up. So they end up promising the world and delivering Connecticut. That was a random pick. I was going to go Florida, but Florida gets picked on too much. So I went Connecticut. Any Connecticutans in the crowd? Yeah, never buy on the promise of the future. Buy on what's real and current. And that's why I wait a long time before I buy a lot of new things. I have not even, people are like, oh, you must love the new Apple, I forgot the name of it, Nerd Helmet. What is it called? The Apple, why can't I remember the name of that thing? The spatial computing, the Apple VR. Oh my God. Okay. Yeah, people are yelling at me in the chat. They're like, you're not an Apple person. You don't even remember the name of the helmet. Why can't I remember that? The Air, the virtual reality. I'm going to have to go to apple.com and just to satisfy myself and to learn what it is. Vision Pro. I forgot the word Vision Pro. Where are my senior moment people at? Yeah. All right, we've got a couple of questions coming in here, so we'll continue on. New Hampshire. There you go. It's New Hampshire near Connecticut. I don't know. I do have a lot of anniversaries, don't I? Well, that's the other thing. You've got to take the opportunity to the goggles. They're doing nothing. You got to take the opportunity when you're on the internet to celebrate things because, and hopefully, I'm not doing the same thing that I'm saying that other people are doing by celebrating the anniversaries and the time things. It's just, I don't know, it's cool. It gives us an opportunity. There's far too few opportunities to just celebrate and have fun and enjoy yourself these days. So any opportunity we get is good. Other news. So there are new products out there. And if you look in the description of this very video, I've chucked a couple of reviews. So for starters, look, I know I'm a YouTuber, and I know I've probably used some clickbaity headlines from time to time and pictures of me, ooh, looking shocked. But almost every video that I found that was reviewing the new iPad Air, the new iPad, and the new MacBook Air M4 were like, don't buy these until you watch this, or don't make the wrong, like they were all basically focusing in on people's fear, saying, oh, make sure you don't make a mistake, instead of saying, hey, here's a review. So what did I do? I picked out the ones that actually were the most like reviews, that were like, here is a review of this. So a couple of folks that I trust and that I like the videos of. One is Brian Tong. He's reviewing the new Apple iPad Air M3. Who should really upgrade? Which is a great question, because if you've got an iPad Air M2 or even M1, no, you don't need to upgrade at all. If you've got an iPad Pro that's M1 or M2, yeah, you don't need to upgrade. Basically, if you're running an M series chip, unless you are doing some seriously high-end stuff, you don't need any more than the M1. M1, M2, fabulous. M3 and M4 are good, obviously better, but I don't see many people hitting the wall of performance. If anything, everyone's got iPads now that are way over what they actually need to run GarageBand and even Logic Pro for iPads. So, no, don't need to update. But yeah, it's a good, quick but thorough review of the iPad Air that you can check out there. And this is the one I got from Brandon. Actually, no, it wasn't Brandon's. It was the one before that one. It was the Zollo, this one here. So the Zollo Tech review for the MacBook Pro, MacBook Air. Get it together, Johns. So if you want to check that one out, I will do that as well. So there's a couple of ideas, a couple of video reviews you can watch. I haven't got either of these things yet. I'm not getting the iPad Air because really it's a cut down iPad Pro M4, which I already have. It's just slightly less powerful. And the slightly different screen. For the MacBook, I am in the market for a new MacBook, and I'm teetering between the Pro and the Air. Because the problem is, I looked at the Air, but by the time I upgrade the hard drive and upgrade the memory, which I would want to do, it's basically the price of the entry-level MacBook Pro. So, and the MacBook Pro, if you don't know, has the advantage of having a fan in there for cooling. It's got the slightly better screen. And you know, you don't even need to get the Pro chip on it. You could just still get the M4 chip. So I'm at this crossway. And look, it's not urgent right now. I want a MacBook so that I can do more work on the go, so that I can sit in my backyard in nice autumn weather that we're having right now, that I can do live streams from on the go without having to bring a whole bunch of complicated kit with me. So there you go. You fall off my click. I know, I'm such a horrible clickbaitery person. Someone did like, in some of my live streams, I've been putting the poll there that was like, yeah, have you hit the like button yet? Yes. And, oops, no, I forgot. And yeah, I got some grief from someone. But here's the thing, 99% of people didn't care, 1% of people did. And again, if I'm doing something that's annoying 1% of people, that's probably just everything. Because you can't please everyone. Like, there will be someone that will be annoyed by everything I do. Some people just don't like my face. I struggle to find, apart from just turning off the camera and just being a talking head, or maybe I need to make a 3D avatar of myself. Hello, Jeremy Deshaw. Hello, the Mix Club, by the way, if I didn't say g'day to you, Rhett, with the pink there going on. iPhone 12 badly need for an upgrade, but yeah, and that's the thing. Like, there's not much different, is there? Like the 12, I still think that if you're running a level, so my daughters have an 11. One of my daughters now has a 16 because she actually saved up and bought it herself, which is pretty cool. She's working at Macca's, just doing her thing. And the other one, yeah, we had to buy a new phone for, and I bought a new old stock iPhone 11 for her. So yeah, look, there's absolutely nothing wrong with those. Hey, there's nothing wrong with the iPhone SE. Like, I had to run with this for a couple of days when I dropped my 16. So, and look, it's kind of clunky and it's very small now these days compared to everything else, but works, does the job. So it is hard. It's hard to justify. It used to be that there was things you couldn't do. And I think that's part of the reason that Apple, I think, went so hard with Apple Intelligence, is that they wanted that to be the FOMO. They wanted that to be the thing that you're like, oh, I wouldn't upgrade, but I really want Apple Intelligence, so I'm going to upgrade. I don't know. A little coffee, and we'll continue a VU. So the only other thing I wanted to draw your attention to before I jump into your questions, which I can see are already starting to come in. Again, if you're just joining us and you've got questions, feel free to throw those here in the chat. Running a 15 plus and hanging out. Yeah, exactly. 15 plus, you'll be fine. I really don't think, don't tell Apple, but you're not missing out on much without the Apple Intelligence. Don't know why I'm whispering. They're not listening. And they're not going to hear any less if I whisper. Good microphone though, right? The other thing I wanted to put your attention to is our old mate Patrick over at the GarageBand guide. He's got there. There he is. I always freeze frame it. I don't ever mean to, but I always freeze frame it on something like that when I'm playing Patrick. Let's give him a little play. There you go. That's better. So he's got a new video out, and I'm liking what Patrick's doing lately. Like this is if you're just starting out with GarageBand Mac, or you've never used keyboard shortcuts. If you're a GarageBand Mac user and you've never used keyboard shortcuts, watch this because he shows you. It's like the beginner's guide to keyboard shortcuts. So there's so much time you can save just by knowing the few simple things. Your cut, copy, pastes, your spacebar for your start stops, your return button to go back to the start of the project, and then you will want to learn more. So it's not that you have to use keyboard shortcuts when you're creating music, but every time you grab your mouse and you're clicking around and you're scrolling around, it can take you out of the moment. And using your keyboard more like you would an old tape machine with your R button for record and your start stop with your spacebar, it just does. It frees you up. It makes it feel more like you're actually in a creative space. There you go. The plan for Jeremy is to make viral content with current rig, get rich, buy iMac M4 with all the terabytes and RAM. Yeah, okay, do it. Why not? The problem is, here's the. Do I want to? Do I want to crush Jeremy's spirits? The folks who go viral actually make about the same amount of money, if not less, than folks like me. I know it's hard because it looks like they should be making a mint, but if you have a viral video, a YouTube short, a TikTok that gets millions and squillions of views, the payment for those is really low. So if you're hanging your, I know it was, you're saying this in jest, but I've unfortunately there's been a lot of people that come to me and they're like, "Oh man, if only I could just get that one. Can you give me a shout out so I can go viral?" I'm like, not how it works. No one's like, "Oh, Pete Johns mentioned Jimmy Plays. I'm going to go check out the Jimmy Plays channel because I'm heavily into Roblox too." Like, no, that's not how anything works. But yeah, the other part of it is it's really difficult. And people like the virality, people think, oh, once you go viral, that's it, you're golden. For every person that has a viral video and then becomes a superstar and suddenly is making more and more and more and more videos, there's people that go viral once and then they spend the next year frustratedly trying to recreate that virality and failing. So look, again, I don't want to dash anyone's hopes. You never know. Unless you try it, you won't know. But at the same time, yeah. Again, people that get into music for the money, I say, yeah, if you're getting music for fame and fortune, you're probably doing it for the wrong reasons. I would become a day trader or get into, yeah, like financial sector if you fame, well, not fame, maybe there are too many famous stock traders, apart from the evil ones. All right, we're getting way off track, but that's it. I know I'm killing your dreams. Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. But hey, you never know. That's the thing. You also miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So if you want the positive version of that, you just keep trying things. That's all I did. I just kept trying things on the internet until I had a big enough catalog of stuff that you could, yeah, that I could piece together something resembling a full-time job. So there's that way as well. John's Destroyer of Dreams. That's me. Hello, Joe, Glenn, and Barry. Glenn, hope you are doing well. If there's anyone I've missed that you're here, say g'day. More likely you grind it out day after day and slowly build up your channel one sub at a time. Thomas Christ knows about that. Yeah, it's a slow grind and it takes a while. And look, could I get more? I've always said this. I don't ever want to test it because I don't have the fortitude to do so. But yeah, if I wanted to chase the viral trends, I would have pivoted and somehow worked cryptocurrency and Web3 into my videos 2 years ago. And then I would have tried to make every single video about AI and AI music creation. And look, there's channels that have done that and have been a lot more successful than me. Or the other way to go is to just be outwardly negative and confrontational about everything all the time. You get a lot more engagement, you get a lot more comments, you'll see a lot more hate. And I don't want that. So I pass on that. All right, let's jump in. Hello, Owen. I've tagged your question there. I'm going to start answering all the questions that are coming in order, and then I've got a few topics to talk about if we run out of questions or comments, or we'll just randomly chat about BS, because that's how we roll. Why be normal? That's a good question. Yeah, if I ever say I'm not normal or something normal, yeah, just please call me on it because normal is boring. Nobody wants normal. Question. I know that you know about my Samson G-Track mic audio interface. My question is that it's my only plan to get studio monitors someday so I can connect my monitors to my G-Track Pro. Nobody can answer me. So your G-Track Pro. Let's we got some time today. Let's dive in. If you don't know, the Samson G-Track Pro is a great device. It is very much a starter device because the problem with any USB microphone, and look, the G-Track Pro is not even really a USB microphone. It is an audio interface with a built-in microphone. So it is a bit different from your regular one. Yes, I'll eat all your cookies, Samson. That's fine. So if you've never seen this before, this is what we're talking about. So it's a Samson G-Track, and it is a microphone, but it also has the ability to have headphones, and you can, I believe that's a TRS input jack as well, so that you can plug in like a guitar or a line instrument. The problem, and what you're probably thinking about right now, Sylvie, is it only has an unbalanced headphone jack. So because it's designed to be like a single, simple solution for recording your vocals with the microphone, for recording your direct line guitars with the guitar input, it's only got the headphone jack there, which means that you can technically connect up studio monitors, but you would be plugging a 3.5-inch jack into that would be converting that 3.5-inch jack to either two RCA or two TS plugs. It means that you wouldn't get the full shielding of the output because unbalanced. Let's do a quick unbalanced versus balanced. An unbalanced cable just sends the signal, which means that if there's noise, if there's interference, if there's anything coming in from externally, that's going to impact the signal. You're going to get lower quality. What a balanced cable does is it has two different signals as well as a ground. So there's three wires. It's why an XLR cable has the three prongs, and it's why a TRS has a tip, a ring, and a sleeve. It sends one signal that way, it sends the inverted phase of that signal, and then it sends a ground. And then it switches them over and then puts them back together at the other end. It's actually very fancy and very, very cool. Look into it in more detail if you want to. But the short of it is, if possible, you want a balanced output. Now, the problem that the G-Track Pro has is that it doesn't have a balanced audio out. It only has the unbalanced headphone jack out. So what you'd have to do is get your monitors, plug the headphone into those monitors, and it would be it would work, but it would be a slightly clunky setup, and then you wouldn't be able to, for instance, plug in headphones as well. So you'd be constantly. So the good thing about an audio interface is you've got a headphone jack and you've got a line out. So you can turn off your speakers, chuck your headphones onto your tracking, and then when you're ready to mix, you just throw your headphones down. You leave them plugged in, throw your headphones down, maybe turn down your headphone amp, turn up the output going to the speakers, and you start mixing. So what does that all mean? What would my recommendation then be? I don't like telling folks that they need to buy more gear, but I think it is time, before you even invest in monitor speakers, to go and get yourself a two-channel audio interface. So you can go, I've always recommended, as most folks know, the Steinberg UR22C. There's also, actually I'll go the Canadian. I'll see if these links actually still work because they change up over time. Yeah, not currently unavailable. This is because they've actually changed the model number of that. The Focusrite Scarlett 2i2, which I think I saw folks talking about, is another good option. See, I need to go through and redirect these because they've all updated to new generations of them. So it's not got the thing. Let's go to Sweetwater. That will give us the latest version of it. There it is. So there it is, the 4th gen, $199. But the thing is, and I know you're in Canada as opposed to the US, but things like the M-Track, if price is of not concern, obviously it's concern for everyone, but something like the M-Track Duo is actually a great option that's really not that expensive. These things are really nicely made. And here's the difference, right? So there's your headphone jack with its own separate output. And then if you look at the back of this, you've actually got, oh, that's the wrong side. Where's the back of it? There it is. You've got your outputs. So this has TRS, so tip, ring, sleeve, balanced outputs. Now, some of your cheaper audio interfaces will only have the little RCA plugs, which are unbalanced anyway. So I wouldn't upgrade to an audio interface that doesn't have balanced outputs, and you'll know because they're these 1/4 inch ones. Anything that has these 1/4 inch outputs like this, that's your TRS, and that's what you want. And then I would couple that with something like if you want some monitor speakers, and I know Mark's used these, I know many folks have picked these up. The PreSonus Iris are just absolutely punch above their weight value. For about $100, about 150 here in Australia or Canada, you can pick up a couple of these little suckers, and they are just beautiful in terms of their quality that you get for the price. Like amazing, like balanced inputs, the ability to tune your acoustic tuning. Like yeah, you don't get this stuff in this price bracket with anything else. So there's my rant for you, Sylvie. Now, is there anything wrong? Could you go the other way? Well, yeah, of course you could. If monitor speakers were more important to you, pick up the monitor speakers at a 3.5 inch to twin, because these got RCA as well. So you just get that, those standard, the ones we used to use when you were plugging like your iPod or your Walkman into your stereo, that's got the red and white RCA at one end and the headphone plug at the other end, and just plug that into there. So then you could use these speakers, like until you upgraded your interface, you could use these speakers with your G-Track. But you'd have that problem. The good thing about these monitors, though, is they have a headphone jack on the monitor. So in the interim, what you could do is have your G-Track going into these speakers and then plug your headphones into the headphone jack of the speakers. So you can still do your tracking, but when you unplug your headphones, then you could use the monitors. I hope that was simple and made sense and wasn't rambling and overwhelming because, yeah, it's a tough thing to get to. All right. View my bits. I've tagged your question, so I'll be there in a sec. Not having adequate monitors has been a problem, but I'm learning workarounds. I shouldn't be releasing, but I'm impulsive. Yeah, I know. Look, there's two ways to look at this, and I know we're going to do this. Oh, yes, that's a good point. Sorry, you mentioned this last time, Thomas, and I have to keep remembering it. Your cheaper interfaces may only be 16-bit. So things like the Steinberg UR12 used to be 16-bit. That's now 24-bit, the new version of that, which is nice. And the M-Track Duo is only 16-bit as well. So that's where going to the Focusrite Scarlett or even the PreSonus. PreSonus themselves make some decent quality audio interfaces. Yes, and the Iris have a 3.5. Oh, they have the input as well, don't they? See, that's even better. See, Mark's on the ball. Because they have a 3.5-inch input as well as output. You are right. They have an aux in. See, this is why we do these live, so that you guys can correct and enhance me. Because, yeah, if you look there at the front, that panel there, it's got aux in, baby. So you can go 3.5 mil to 3.5 mil. You don't even need the conversion. So you can go aux in, play back, and then have phones out. So these would actually be perfect for you, Sylvie, if you were wanting to start dipping your toe in the world. Dear Farmer, I'm going to tag your question as well, and same with you, Jeremy. Yes. It's okay. Yeah, it's and look, the whole gear shuffle is not the funnest part of music, but all right, we'll continue on here. So, a question from Owen Bumham. What does it mean when you open a project and it says it uses an unsupported feature and tells you to click continue or create a copy without those features? When you do, nothing happens. So, when you open a project, when it says it's got unsupported features, it usually means that it could be that it was created on a device that has the ability to do particular things that your device doesn't. So if someone creates something on like a brand new iPad Pro M4, and then you open it on a regular iPad, sometimes some of those plugins, so I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, someone will help me with it, but a few of the, oh man, the words are not coming to me today, but there's a few plugins, particularly Logic Pro, that are only available on your Pros and not on your earlier ones. The same with Alchemy Synth. So Alchemy Synth, there are some earlier devices that don't run Alchemy Synth because it uses quite a lot of processing power. And if you open their projects that have Alchemy Synth tracks, it'll then convert them to regular synth tracks. So you may not see anything, but it may mean. And the other thing that it could be that's most likely is that they're using some third-party plugins. So some features not supported may be that they've added an external instrument. So say they're using the Ravenscroft 275 piano. And when you open it, you don't have the Ravenscroft 275, so it's not available on your device. And usually it'll try and convert it to something that's, usable and similar. Uh, but sometimes it just can't work at all. Same with guitar amp sims. So I've had that problem before where people have sent me something and that maybe they've got Tonex and I don't have the Tonex full plug-in bundle. Then I try to load it up and it says no dice. So the only thing to do is to go through and see what, or get the person, if someone else has created it, go through and see what plugins have been used, what different instruments have been used, and try and work out which ones are maybe being replicated. But if it sounds fine and everything seems to be there, sometimes you don't even need that. Sometimes it might just be one little reverb plugin that they've added, and it doesn't sound much different at all without that. So hopefully that helps out. Oh man, Thomas, do you have this problem with Ecamm that when you go to your favorites, I don't know if you use favorite comments, you go to favorites and then you go back to comments, it puts you right at the top of the comments? It's weird. Made it on my iPad, and all I did happened was open it, and then I tried to open it again. It would keep saying that even though it's on the same device. That's very weird. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I can't really answer that one because it shouldn't, should it? No, I haven't come across that specifically because if it's on the same iPad, unless you've offloaded, never use that offload apps thing. I've had problems with that before where I've used a device, I've created something, I've used an app as a plugin, and then it's been offloaded, like I ran out of space and it offloaded that app, and therefore it's not there anymore and it says unsupported features. So yeah, I would avoid that. All right. Yeah, so hard to diagnose specifically. Put an example over in the GarageBand users Facebook group or somewhere else. I know not everyone's on there. Yeah, okay, so it's not just me. It's not just my fault because every time I go to favorites and then come back, I have to scroll down. And yeah, I can use the little thing on the side, but it's still a pain in the butt. Mm. How long did it take you guys to find your flow in your DAW? So for me, it was a good year, to be honest, before it became second nature, before it became like an extension of my hands, and that was in GarageBand, which is a pretty simple DAW. But I think here's the curve, right? So for those that are frustrated or struggling with your progression at the moment, the curve is this: you start out, you don't know what you don't know. So you learn a bunch of stuff and whew, you escalate. You learn so much that you soar up to this plateau. And then you hit this plateau where you're like, okay, I'm feeling pretty confident here. But then something weird happens. Not to everyone, but to a lot of us. You start going down and you start like your mixes seem to get worse. Things seem to get harder. And what it is now is that you know all this stuff and suddenly you think you have to be doing things that you don't have to be doing. So what a lot of folks do is that they learn about compression, they learn about EQ, about reverb, about delay, about saturizing plugins, and you go a bit nuts, right? You turn on everything, you turn up everything, you EQ everything, you compress everything, and your mixes sound worse. So you hit this plateau, and then things get a little bit worse. And then what happens to some folks is they completely lose focus and they feel like they're no longer encouraged and they don't want to do it anymore and they give up. So to avoid that, just have that realization and understanding that you are going to hit that plateau and you will fall off a bit. And then kind of what you need to do is just assess what you're doing and go back to basics a bit. So realize, say to yourself, what was it that I enjoyed about the process when things were going well? And you'll probably find it was that you kept it simple. You just pressed record and recorded in your tracks and went, that sounds pretty good. And then you press record and recorded another track. You didn't obsess over EQ. You didn't obsess over compression. You just got in there and got it done. So that is my sort of recommendation there. And then what you'll find is that you start going back up again and you reach this point where it's what we call unconscious competence, where you're not even thinking about it. You're just making moves without it feeling like it. So you remove that barrier. But before that, you go in, you've got conscious incompetence, where you know what you should do, but you don't know how to do it yet. And that's that frustration, that tipping point where people plateau and maybe even go down a little bit because you're like, man, I watched this video from John's and he had this EQ curve that went like this, and my EQ curve goes like this. And why is that? Should I be EQing like he does? Probably not. Probably not. So I know that didn't really answer the question, but if you are working through it and if you're a new creator or you're just getting into things, that's something to consider. Hello, Jay Riley. I hope you are doing well. You know what you mean? Yeah, I think a lot of people have gone through a similar sort of thing where you hit that plateau and then you go down. Yeah. It would say about just wanted to say about that, but go to my phone and send that same comment back to my iPad. Yeah, that's weird. That is weird. The other thing is sometimes it's weird. Hello, Leela. Hope you're doing well. Still use my UR12. Yeah, UR12. Again, I had used a UR12 for years, and then I've upgraded to a Steinberg UR22C, and I've been using that for years. And it's not worth updating. That's the thing. Wonder how much sometimes my sound lost because of my ear loss. And look, yeah, that's another thing. Different people hear things differently, and you do. You have to learn how you hear things versus other people hearing things. And hearing loss is real. The vast majority of people have some sort of hearing loss over the age of about 40. You do. You lose frequencies, even if you don't have significant actual hearing loss. And the worst is if you lose the speaking frequencies, obviously. And that's where you probably need to get, hearing aids or some sort of hearing support. But for the vast majority of us, we lose those high frequencies. So that's where we can start creating mixes that don't have enough of that high end or that have too much because we can't sense it. So I've heard I've heard it go two ways. Sometimes people create mixes that are really harsh and treble heavy, but because they've lost a lot of those high frequencies, they can't hear it. They play it to an 18-year-old and they're like, "Oh, dude, got to turn down those high frequencies," or vice versa. You don't have enough air in there because you can't hear the difference. If you EQ your vocals to get a little bit of airiness up the top end, it sounds exactly the same to you. Yet someone else listening to it goes, "Oh wow, you've really brought out the life by adding those top end frequencies." So it's hard. And yeah, exactly. There's ear fatigue as well, and that can be a problem. Yeah, look, having one ear, obviously I have one eye, and we were talking about that the other day. Just to get off topic, um, yeah, would you rather be blind or deaf? And I said, well, I've got one eye. Can I just have one ear too? Because I'd rather hear in mono and see in mono than not have both of either, if that makes any sense. So yeah, only hearing in mono definitely will impact and will affect the overall mix because, especially if you're listening on monitor speakers, one's going to be on your left and one's going to be on your right, and depending which ear you're hearing out of, you'll be hearing more on that side than you will on the other. So getting that balance. So you may need to do what I say not to do, which is to mix with your eyes and not with your ears. You kind of, if one of your senses is, that's why I have to use my ears a whole lot for a lot more stuff. I do a lot more. I'm an auditory learner because, so I listen to podcasts, I listen to videos. I very rarely need to look at things, and I'm not like a reader and a viewer. I'm kinesthetic, so I like to have hands-on learning, touch it, feel it, do it, and I'm an auditory learner as well. And it's interesting. If you've never worked out how you learn, it's an interesting thing to assess. There's things out there on the internet that you can check out. Yeah, mix something in the morning sounds incredible. Come back later in the day, and it's like, ooh, it's horrible. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And obviously, I know those sort of questions. It was like, oh, would you rather blah or blah? And it's like two horrible things. Yeah. I'm going to use more ears before next time I release as a method. Yeah. So, yes, it's funny because I can when I talk about my the sports teams I like, I'm like there's the saying. I don't know if is it a universal saying, a one-eyed supporter. Basically means that you think your team do no wrong, and you think every other team's bad. So when people say, "Oh, I'm a one-eyed Adelaide Crows supporter," I'm like, "You reckon you are? I am a one-eyed Crows supporter." Anyway, deer farmer, hello to you. Hopefully you're not. Well, if you're farming deer, does that mean you're making venison? Is that the meat that comes from deer? I don't know. My meat days are long behind me. How do I record with two mics on Garage, but I want to record a guitar and vocal at the same time? I'm only using one mic right now. I don't like how it sounds. Yeah, cool. Great question, and I have covered this in detail on many occasions, and I reckon if you go to your favorite search engine, which is YouTube, of course, and you type Pete Johns GarageBand 2 mics, let's see if we have some answers for you. So here is my most recent quick video about multi-tracking, so how to record on 2 tracks at a time. So the practical side of it, of doing that. We've got, yeah, this is the one I was thinking of. This is from ages ago, but this shows the basic process. So this is me plugging in my guitar and my microphone and recording on GarageBand on 2 tracks. So the basics are you'll need a 2-channel audio interface. If you're using a USB microphone or you're using the built-in microphone or some other method, there's no way to do that. Unfortunately, iOS in particular, Mac's a little bit different. You can technically use like 2 USB mics on a Mac. You can get problems with sync issues and latency issues and driver issues, so I don't recommend it. But at the end of the day, as we said with Sylvie earlier, a 2-channel audio interface is something that you should probably get. There you go. How to use 2 mics at once in GarageBand. I don't even know that. I've never seen that channel before. But yeah, there's a few videos there. So if you go, I didn't even search it. I didn't even put the right words in there. Multi-track. Let's do that. Yeah, there you go. So there's a heap of videos there on multi-track recording, even recording 4 tracks. So back in the day, I plugged in my Steinberg UR44 and recorded 4 tracks at once. So, and practically, all you do is set GarageBand to enable multi-track recording, which you do in the advanced settings, and then plug in 2, set up 2 tracks, and play and record. And it's actually really good because yeah, if for instance you want a nice stereo guitar, you can get 2 microphones, put one on the left, one on the right, and it will pick up that stereo. You can put one pan it hard left, one pan it hard right, or just a stereo track. Or yeah, if you're a singer-songwriter and you want to record, for me, sometimes I sing better when I'm playing at the same time, or play better when I'm singing. So if you like that, then yeah, doing it at the same time and picking that up. And again, you don't even have to use that. What I've done a lot of the times is I'll record guitar and vocal at the same time, and then I'll re-record the guitar and I'll re-record the vocal, and I'll use that first take as my guide track, and then sometimes I'll actually even use those original guide tracks as doubles of my vocal and a double of my guitar, just to thicken up the mix. So there's a lot of good things you can do there. Hopefully that helps you out. G'day to Gary Hub. Gaza. How are you, Gaza? Did I miss your show? I keep missing your show. It's not even at an awkward time for me. I should, yeah, I don't know. I think I'm just always doing stuff on the weekends. This weekend in particular was a very, very busy one as well. Hello, Andy Winehouse. They tried to make him go to rehab, and he said, "Bluey, bluey, bluey." I don't even know what am I even doing these days? Thank you, Al Davis. I've tagged your question. I did it with G-Track and it works. Yeah. So the G-Track is a 2-channel interface. That's the thing. It's a bit weird, but yeah, you can do that with the G-Track. So the G-Track presents itself as 2 channels because it's got the microphone is channel 1, which is built in, and then it's got the guitar input, the instrument input, which is channel 2. So it technically is that. The selection, was there an update that came out to the selection? They do this from time to time. Let's see if I've got it on my GarageBand because I haven't checked. But what they do is sometimes sometimes there's bugs within packs. They don't really mention this a lot, but you'll notice that sometimes you'll go into your sound library and there'll be an update. Is this the case right now? Let's see if I have this. So if you go to your manage packs, which one reckons it's there? It is selection update, and the problem is unless you go in and you check each and every loop and then go back and check it. So sometimes it's something as simple as one of the loops has a little glitch in it that means that it doesn't work sometimes, or there's a loop that they can no longer use because they've realized that it was actually copyrighted or that it was sampled from something that they couldn't have. Or sometimes they're adding something in. Sometimes they're just updating it and changing it. So yeah, it's almost impossible to know what actually is new. Apart from checking it out. So if we went in here, let's find the selection one. Let's see what was actually in it. Let's see if we can do a little live. Oh, we got a bit of time here today. Let's do a bit of live fun times. I don't remember where. Oh, there it is. Selection update available. So is it going to tell us anything about this update? No. So it's got 400. Yeah, see, 400 Apple loops, 4 drummer beat sequencer, 19 keyboard patches, and 1 live loops grid. So it may just be that one of those Apple loops has to be taken out or has to be fixed in some way. There's some sort of glitch. It was supposed to be in a C minor and it was in a D minor when they put it in there. That's usually the case. Or the keyboard patch has been tweaked or updated or something like that. So yeah, it's almost impossible to know without going through. And I'm not going to go through and check 400 Apple loops and then check them all again after updating and see what the difference is. But it's a good question. This is why we do these things, because yeah, you'll often find these, and you'll have to redo it and re-download the pack. And I think there's even some that was it. There was one artist that we used to have the pack in here. It was one of those ones where you could do a remix of it, and they've removed it entirely. It was like a Korean boy band. I think I've got copies of all of them somewhere. So if anyone ever really wants to remix that, 17 was the name of the band. If anyone really wants that 17 track, I'll go and find it and give it to you. I try to. I don't watch the news because I'm a kid, so no, probably not. I stay away from the news at the moment for very many reasons. Hello, Ed, Zed, even entertainment news. Um, we have more questions. Yes. Off topic, but could you please post a link? Yes, Studio Live today, Your Music Live. Just go to studiolivetoday.com/YML. And a tip for new players is every show I do has all the links you need in the description. So if you go to any episode, any of the 248 episodes of Your Music Live, they will all have the link in the description to not only all the other things I do, but to how to submit a song. So I'm not blaming you for that because obviously this isn't that show, but the amount of people that come into Your Music Live, and there'll be a link on the screen, and there'll be a link in the description, and there'll be a pinned comment with the link to submit a song, and they walk in and they're like, "Yo, brah, how I submit?" And it's like, you haven't even been here for 30 seconds. I mention it at least every probably 10 to 15 minutes. Thomas Christ slings the links in there all the time, and yet I don't know. And again, this isn't blaming you particularly because again, it's a different show, so 100% understand it. But the amount of people that are in the show where we're doing the thing, and instead of watching the show for 5 minutes, understanding the flow, working out what we do, it's pretty self-explanatory, really. They just start asking questions, and I don't know if it's just it's our want it now society that we have now that people just don't have the patience to find things out for themselves. I like the exploratory, the investigation of things, but I guess I'm a rarity. Is my 11-year-old Mac slow and unstable due to not being supported? It has 1 terabyte SSD and 16 gig of RAM, so space and memory isn't causing the issues. No, I don't know. See, Macs before M1 are not my forte because I didn't own one. My first Mac was the Mac Mini M1 in 2020. It was my first ever Macintosh computer, my first ever Apple computer at all. I was Commodore 64 back in the days, then I was DOS PC, then I was Windows, and yeah, I didn't actually get my first Mac till then. What I do know is that from what people that know, like Patrick, from the GarageBand Guide, that the jump from the Intel chips to the M1 chips was quite substantial. So people that were using even higher end Macs that had Intel chips and went to the M1, the fact that all the silicon's together with the system on a chip, they said that look, the performance is just night and day. So it's not that you can't use it, but yeah, the beach balls, the lagginess, the delays, especially over time with an older chip, will be there more so than they would be with a newer machine. Just the reality of it. Especially in Logic Pro, but even in GarageBand, because yeah, your overhead. A few things you can do, obviously. Make sure you have plenty of free space, that your drive isn't full, so it's not constantly trying to find room. That can really crush the performance. I had that problem with my M1 Mini. That's why on my studio I got 2 terabytes, because I'm like, I never want to play this game of trying to manage this 256 gig of storage ever again. So yeah, make sure that you've got plenty of free space storage wise, that you're not running any background apps. That's the other thing. A lot of resident apps that run in the background can pull in and can start taking up and chewing up RAM and processing cycles as well. I think that there's an app called like Clean My Mac or something that some people have recommended to me for older Macs. But yeah, I think that the bottom line is that yeah, the M1 chips are just better. And I know I hate it when the answer is yeah, your stuff is not as good as it needs to be anymore. Because I like the idea that you can create with whatever you got, and you definitely still can. You just might be staring at a beach ball every now and then. I haven't tried Iconica Sketch from Steinberg, which is I I'm very out of the latest stuff. I know that Jade Star has, and I probably should. So this is the one, the Iconica Sketch app here, Iconica Sketch Orchestra app from Steinberg. It looks like the sort of thing that I should be all over. So maybe I need to reach out and get a copy and play around with it. But I haven't played with Cubasis in a long time, and I haven't played with any of the Steinberg stuff in quite a while. But I'm pretty sure that Jade and others have. So yeah, I will add it to the ever growing list of things that I need to be Windows rules. I mean, the thing is, I don't even say that Mac OS rules. I don't say that anything rules because it's a company. It's a trillion. They're both $1 trillion companies making software to sell to people. So I don't know. I get I get challenged by people that go into bat that are like, oh man, iOS sucks. Android is the best. Android is great, because they've got blind spots as well. They're looking at everything and they're going, I hate this thing, therefore by default this thing is awesome. Whereas the actual reality is that everything's kind of average, and some will be slightly better for you and some will be slightly better for others. I don't know. It's not meant to be a serious thing, but I've seen legitimately serious conversations where people are getting into screaming matches or virtual screaming matches about what's better. And I'm like, how about, here's an idea. How about instead of getting in a screaming match about whether Android or iOS are better, you take whatever you're using and go and make something with it. Go and create with it. Go and enjoy it. Go and do something fun if that's what you want. But yeah, the constant, oh my God. Yeah, it's weird. I thought it'd be okay to just, yeah, and look, it probably is, but it's yeah, it's not going to be as good. So yeah, and obviously having an SSD is better. At least you don't have a spinning drive in there that could potentially crash. Ed's tried it. Has got some very nice sounds and works well for me. There you go. So there you go. Ed Z says yes, it's a good thing. Last question. Remember a long time ago when you got a comment on some random vid asking about some of the mixer icons and that don't have it, then saying you got a new iPad? Well, that was me. Oh, okay. Random vid asking about some of the mixer icons that I don't have. And saying I got a new. Well, okay, I don't remember, but I do get a lot of comments. I realized that I had a whole bunch of stuff I was going to talk about. I'll just hold that over for next week because, yeah, well, we've had so many good questions here, but I wanted to have some fun here at the end. I do get a lot of comments. Let's have a quick coffee. It's not going to be very hot. I get a lot of questions and comments around here. And if you don't know, I spend a lot of my time going out walking. So I've got this show, and then I've got like one more meeting, and then I've got like, it's my weekend. So I'll go for a stroll and I'll go walking and I'll go down the beach or I'll do something like that. And I'm usually answering comments as I walk about. And it was funny this morning, just before the show, I was looking at comments because I'm like, oh, you know, I'll get a few ideas and suggestions in case there's not enough questions to fill the show. So I did. And this is my public service announcement. This is why you need to be thick-skinned if you're going to be a YouTuber. And it's nothing particularly bad, but check this out. So this is the same video, how to convert video to audio on an iPhone or iPad. It works. Thank you. And I say you're very welcome, my friend. I hope you'll get value from the other videos on the channel and consider subscribing. I did it. It's not working. I did it over and over. I kept checking and I still don't see it. And then I say, make sure that you're not in the recent tab in your files app. So isn't it funny? Like when you think about this, when you think about giving information to people and putting information out into the universe, that you can put the exact same information explained in the exact same way and people can be doing the same thing. And for one person, it'll be like, yep, worked perfectly, worked a treat. For someone else, it could be like, yep, didn't work at all, completely broken. And like that's the nice version of it. Some people will say, oh, Pete, you got straight to the point and that was a great video with lots of really good information. And then someone else will say, this guy's voice is annoying and why did he take 9 minutes to explain something that could have been explained in 30 seconds? Unsubscribe. And it's like, yeah, it's just, it's why you can't please everyone. And it's related to your music as well. It's related to your music because you can, you can try and please everyone and you can make music that you think people are going to like. But take my mate Joel Crouch here, for instance, Gabriel Chateau. Yeah, makes really wacky music. Are they making music that everyone's going to like and that everyone's going to go, wow, that's amazing? No. And my music too. I make music that I know that I like and that I have fun making and that some people enjoy. The fact that some people don't like it at all, is that on me? Does that matter? No. And it's the same with this. It's the same with creating tutorials and comments and things. It's always going to be subjective. Everything, everything in the creative world is subjective. It is actually why I hate, with a passion, those talent shows. America's Got Talent of the voice of the singing mask sing. I don't know. There's about 20 of them now. They're horrible. Because you're taking two people and you're like, you are better than you. And it's like, says you. Says you, Lady Gaga or whoever, Gwen Stefani, whoever's on those shows these days. And I just think it's absolute BS because music and art shouldn't be judged. And I know, look, there's talent shows, there's art shows, there's Battle of the Bands. We've been doing it for decades, and I get it. Some people like it. Yeah, fine, go do it. But it's why there will never be a competition on here for who can do the best song or who's got the best music. Because it's one of those few things that we have left that we can just go, can't we all just get along? Can't we all just create and record and release and enjoy ourselves? Why does it have to be? I don't know. Yeah, plus they're all fixed. Like you have to have. So here's the thing, and I won't go into too much detail here, but people have said to me, "You've got a good voice and you've got a good story. You should go on one of those shows." And do you know what? If I went on one of those shows as, "Hey, I'm a guy. I'm a 46-year-old guy and I've liked music for a long time. I've got a YouTube channel about music, and here I'm going to sing to you." Yeah, that wouldn't work. If I position myself, oh man, who struggled, who born with one eye, struggled with bullying as a child, was really introverted, and then one day he found music and he discovered a whole new world. And I get up there, I'm like, "Hi, I'm Pete, and I'm here to sing a song." And then I go, "And I will always love you." That's what they want. They want the bullshit backstory. So it's not about the singing, it's not about the music, it's about connecting with people and it's about selling the drama. It's like the live song selling the drama, which I just think is a giant crock of shit. But there you go. Ga ga la la la, ba ba da da da. Yeah. So yeah, I'm not going to do that because it's all just that. I've seen people that look just like me, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm just a father with a couple of kids, and I'm a tradie." And then they're like, they sing really well. It's like, great. So because you get to say that you're not really a singer, and then you can sing, that's the story. It's so boring. It's so played out. It's so cliched, but it sells. It sells, and people keep watching it. And while they keep watching it, they do it. Yeah, that's it. It's all about the drama. It's not about the talent. It's true. Anyway. I have actually sang, no, I haven't done I Will Love You. I've done the Titanic song. I've done that Celine Dion song, but I do it as like a country song. Yeah. I know, Simon Cowell. And look, is Simon Cowell a wonderful person? No. Is he a very clever marketer? Absolutely. He's a smart, smart dude. But I couldn't do what he does in Sleep at Night because you're exploiting people. At the end of the day, you're exploiting people. However you want to position it to help you sleep at night is fine, but you're exploiting people because everyone loves those ones where all the losers get up and we all make fun of them. It's like, yay, great, until they suffer from mental health and isolate themselves and bad things happen. I did see the Ted Lasso news and look, I didn't want I don't wa I loved Ted Lasso. I don't want there to be another season. I thought it ended beautifully. It was a great series. It was heartfelt. It told a story. It ended at the right spot. It didn't overdo it, and I'm very worried. I'm very Simon Cowbell. I'm very worried that it's not gonna be as good. And it can't be. That's the thing. They're gonna be set up to fail because everyone's gonna have expectations up here. They're gonna sell it up here. You know, you get exactly. You go to the rodeo to watch the cowboy fall. You go to the car race to watch the big wreck. You go to the football match to watch the person fall over and break their leg. No, you don't. You go to the hockey game for the fights. Yeah, I get it. People want the action. They want the drama. It's yeah, the lowest common denominator. Appeal to the lowest common denominator and work up from there. If everything was like highbrow PBS type programming, they wouldn't sell it and people wouldn't watch it. So yeah, and look, am I judging the people that watch this stuff? Little bit, but do I? Is it their fault? No, not really. It's they've been programmed. Like you can say, oh well, the media companies wouldn't make it if people didn't watch it. Yeah, but they had the idea to put it out there in the first place. It's like saying, "Phew, if people didn't want crack cocaine, I wouldn't be selling crack cocaine. It's like, yeah, but you made it, you gave it to them, and they were like, wow, I had no idea. Now I'm all about the okay, getting off track. I'm gonna have to start ticking some of those little boxes that I don't want to have to tick with the show now. So we are going to finish off here. We're a minute late, minute over already. I want to judge. Oh, that'd be cool. Judging. It's like how exploitative is the show? And it's like, all right, we're pitting The Voice up against America's Got Talent, up against American Idol. Which is the most horrible expression of the gutter of society? Oh, this is going to be a tough matchup here today, Ken. That'll be a fun show. I'll watch that. Yeah, your buzzer technique is just shite. The way you turned around in that chair was unconvincing and rehearsed. All right, done. Thanks, everyone. Oh, by the way, I haven't set up the dump over to Frank. Frank Terzo has got his wonderful show, The Community Pulse. I actually have no idea who's on the Community Pulse today, but I'll find out with you. Let's get this set up here so that you can go over. If you're watching here live, go over and check out Frank Terzo on the Community Pulse, the 55th edition of the Community Pulse. He's a good dude and has interesting guests on there. That's me. That's it for me for this week. As you can tell by the ranty nature and the fact that we went off on a whole bunch of different tangents, yeah, I'm in need of a rest and a bit of time out. So I'm going to go and do that, but not before I say this. Be kind to yourself, folks. Be kind to others. Keep creating. And I'll see you next time right here on GarageBand Weekly. Bye for now.